What is up, everybody? Today is Friday, May 1st. Thank God it's Pod Day, and welcome to Can't Stop Playing Episode 9. I'm your host, Zach Ghost Robo, and Splatoon has not come out yet, so we'll see you all next week. Joining me for this epic Microsoft E3 cast, the show must go on, no Splatoon, we still persevere, is Gigglin' Gabe, Volatile Gabe, all the way from the grand state of Texas.
How tripped out would it be when like Splatoon comes out and it's just horrible?
Yeah, I know, man.
And like you hate it.
It's not going to be horrible.
I'm just saying it'll be funny at this point.
Yeah. It would be interesting to see his response, that's for sure. Yeah.
I would literally just deform into a squid and just slink away and you just go.
Would you like staple like squids to your wall behind you as a protest?
Yeah, actually I'd probably get like live squids and like harpoon them to the wall as like a God dang it!
Well,
and just I would just ingest the smell as like a self-punishment for getting hyped for a game that...
Okay, yeah,
you know what I mean?
Fair enough.
In the third chair, I feel like Max sometimes doesn't get like the most creative intros because I go to Gabe first and I like blow my brain power on Gabe.
Your creativity?
Right. So today I prepared a special intro
Canada,
for you.
Max.
Joining us all the way from Canada, the man whose fatality would be the Lego Brick Lane Blitzkrieg, we have Max Blitzwinger.
See, and that's why he can't sleep.
Legit.
He's up. He's awake thinking of that.
He's just writing down nicknames.
I just wanted to give you a proper intro. Finally, I feel like you kind of.
He's got like nicknames for like up to episode 15. He's like that one's gonna kill.
Yeah, I'm waiting. Episode 72 is gonna blow you guys' brains. But this week, Microsoft is our focus. We're doing a month of E3, prepping for what is poised to be a very big show. We're hearing lots of developers, publishers say like this is the big one. You've got Bethesda entering the fray with their own conference, Square Enix doing the same, and Microsoft in a position to really make some games. So we've got your emails, our thoughts, and we'll get to those in the main event. First, I just want to briefly mention Mario Kart 8. 200cc, how do I describe it? It feels like you are a child on pixie sticks and have zero self-control because you're moving through these tracks so quickly. I'm crashing into the walls over and over again, but there's something immensely satisfying about going that fast. It's really weird. It's like, I've heard people say it's like you've got your F-Zero game, here it is, because it really is like that. You have to be perfect. And I kind of like they're requiring you to be so skilled, which is something that Mario Kart typically doesn't, embody.
Yeah. See, and my takeaway from that is, what the hell is a pixie stick?
What's a pixie stick?
Those little things that you pour out like sugar.
It's just like pure high fructose corn syrup in solid form. Like they're like pink or blue, like strawberry, lemon.
Dude, I know what they are.
Giant
I've
ones.
even had one since
I've never heard this term. This is the first I hear of it.
You get them from like arcades or like dollar stores or Chuck E. Cheese.
Things that don't exist anymore for the most part. All right.
Well,
yeah, they're not that common, I don't think.
How much is a 200cc? I was gonna get it, but then I just forgot.
So it's $8 for the pack. If you purchase them both together, I think it was 12 or 13. But it's like a massive value. You get 8 courses, and I think these are the best courses. The first DLC pack, it had like a Hyrule course. It had some interesting stuff, but these courses are legit like some of the best courses in the game. You also get 200cc. They added a thing where now you can play split screen, so one person will be on the gamepad, one on the TV, instead of splitting the screen, because it drops to 30 frames per second when you do the split screen, which is kind of annoying. But it's like, again, top-notch stuff from Nintendo. They're discovering DLC, and at least they're making hits instead of duds, with their first DLC stuff. For a game like Mario Kart, it adds a lot. We have now 16 new tracks to a game that started with, simple math, 32. So now you're basically, it's Mario Kart 8.5 now, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I guess it's just a good way for them to give the games more life, because usually they wouldn't release like multiple Mario Karts anyway. So it's at least that we're kind of getting added content through DLC, which is really nice.
For sure. So definitely check that out. A couple people were asking about Broken Age Act 2, but I don't think any of us have dived into that yet. I was playing back
I've not played Act 1 even.
It's a weird game because since it was a Kickstarter thing, this is Double Fine's point-and-click adventure that I think was like the first huge Kickstarter project. I think back then it was called like Double Fine adventure game, and it made like $6 million or something. But
yeah, they raised like an insane amount.
It's actually like a really incredibly clever and well done game. Elijah Wood as the main character, like it's pretty darn well written and fun to play. I've been playing through Act 1 again, and it's a totally crazy concept. This boy in space doing these mundane activities and slowly realizes something's amiss. A girl in a crazy land where they eat the daughters. It's really it's freaky but really awesome, and I can't wait to get to Act 2, so maybe we'll discuss that next week.
Yeah, that was a good sales pitch.
You didn't like
boy
that?
in space and a girl where they eat their kids. Sure.
He said you're in space doing mundane activities. Sounds amazing.
No, but okay, then you realize something
the second
is wrong.
half of that was
No,
interesting.
I love Broken Age, by the way. I have played
It's
Act 1,
fun.
and I'm excited to play this one. Like, it's not actually as mundane as Zach is
eating
letting
kids.
No, but you got to figure out why, like the purpose behind it. You go to the sky, you talk to Jack Black. It's a great time.
Okay.
It really is.
Fair
There's
enough.
birds,
That's all any game ever needs.
Wolves.
Just more Jack Black.
Yeah. All
yarn
games
animals.
should
Hey,
have more
there's
Jack
there's
Black.
yarn animals in this. It's basically
Oh
like
my God. Are they going to do amiibos with
yeah,
it? Like a time?
That's the plan. They're trying to get a deal with Nintendo going already.
They're like, hey, listen, you got to diversify your yarn amiibos. We got you. We got you.
We have all this leftover yarn from these Yoshi ones. What are we going to do?
Like that. I think it's hilarious because at E3 last year there was a video of two Nintendo devs sitting by like a
playing with yarn.
and
Yeah.
like now they actually found a use for that. Like that segment has now become reality.
I wonder if it's those two guys that like are the ones that are producing the whole thing. They're like, listen, as limited quantity as some of the amiibos have been, these things are gonna have like 3 per state. They're like, listen, it's taking us a long time. We're trying to develop a game at the same time.
What if they did that? Like, we're gonna randomly drop this like legendary amiibo in like 1 store per state, and like whoever gets it, good luck.
Even better.
I think we're gonna for the first time hear a headline. Murder as a result of amiibo.
Nah, even better. Zach, you haven't played H1Z1 a whole lot.
No.
But what if they just do like a supply drop? Like, it's literally a Nintendo plane flying over this state, right? And just dropping a crate of these like top secret amiibos, and you have to get them and like just fight for them. It's a big battle royale.
I was always
Well, you already have to fight for them. Like, that's the thing. I was once at a Best Buy, and there was 3 people fighting over a Meta Knight. And, like, it got, like they weren't fighting, like, they weren't physically fighting each other, but they were verbally, like, arguing really loud, like, to where practically everyone in the store would be able to hear them. They're like, listen, I was here first, I lined up, blah, 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 blah. Like, they were going into this whole thing, and I was just like, that's a little awkward. Just give one of them and move on.
I've
guys.
got your talk of like altercation reminds me of a story that I just have to relay to you guys.
Here we go.
So I coach basketball. They're 7th graders. They're feisty. They're going through puberty, and we lost to an 8th grade team. We came back from down 18. It was a close game. We lost the end, and after the game, you line up to shake hands, and I always tell my players, just tell them good game and shake hands. Like, no matter what, like, let's be pros about this. And apparently, a couple of my guys were like kind of giving the shoulder, like bumping their guys. So their coach is pretty young, and he comes over and kind of barks/yells. It was a little bit like,
wow. He just starts barking. That's a little freaky. He just starts
basically, and he's like,
full on.
He's like, you need to teach your players how to take a loss. Some of them were bumping my team. Now, if I was going to handle it, I'd go talk to the coach privately, not like point and yell while my team's standing around me.
Should have bumped him.
And one of my players goes, because he said you need to learn to take a loss. And one of my players goes, you need to learn to shut your mouth. And I'm like, oh, God.
Them
This is like a
fighting
13-year-old kid with braces. And the coach goes, what'd you say? He goes, you heard me. And I had to like step between it right there. And I was like, I got this taken care of. And I was just like, oh, my God, feisty children. But it's a fun time.
Do you test them for steroids?
I do.
Okay, just making sure.
Got that little
Sounds like
steroid
that
self-tester.
sounds like roid rage.
Pull it out.
Self-test.
Little poke there and make sure that everybody's doing
All
doing
right.
things.
Well, I don't know how we
We
ended up talking about
transitioned
that.
into our review of the week because they could be from a steroid user. I don't know. The Only Pro is our feature review this week on iTunes. Make sure to rate us and review us on iTunes. It does help. Or if you're more of a YouTube person, come comment there. Leave us a like, some love. But The Only Pro says, need more. This is the podcast that you want to listen to if you want to laugh or get info for games. These guys open up a deeper world into gaming. They make me think about games that I haven't thought of in a while. I was familiar with Ghost Robo, then I was introduced to Max and Gabe. They already make They make an already great podcast even better. It's awesome that it's on iTunes so I can listen to it on the go. Great work, guys. Thanks for the show.
Thank you. That's really nice.
Yeah, that's a great review.
And that's from The Only Pro, so maybe he has massive steroid.
I'm imagining us, like, if we ever have, like, if the podcast, hopefully it gets big enough and everything, if we do, like, some sort of, like, PAX
meetup
thing, meetup or something, I'm imagining when we do it, we'll have on the stage, like he said about us opening a deeper world, we'll, like, plan this intricate thing where, like, you pull on these curtains and, like, these bells and whistles come down, all of a sudden Kojima runs through, and
I don't know what he's doing.
Ken Levine is there, and then it's just this crazy...
No, but I want almost like Twilight Zone-esque music where it's like do 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 do, and everyone's like, what's going on? And then like there's like this weird space portal on the screen, and then the curtains open up, and then it's just a table with a bunch of rats on it, and they're like, what's going on? And then we emerge from the
scary.
audience. We're in like each other's skin, so like you're Gabe, I'm you, Gabe's me, and then we like rip them off, and they're like, whoa! It's just like this unforgettable.
And then we come down on like harnesses,
right,
with like wings and stuff, and it's like really epic. Oh, that sounds cool.
We will see you at
Jetpacks. Forget harnesses. Let's just go jetpacks.
We're gonna need like a $5 million
coming
Kickstarter for that show.
2016. The Can't Stop Playing experience. We are going to get going because Microsoft has a lot to go. And we're going to kick it off with a lightning round that's Microsoft focused. These can be short answers because we will discuss things in depth.
Short answers.
That's something I don't even know if I know what that means. So
come on, let's do
the lightning round sent from Zeus above. You guys do know I get these from a higher power, right? I don't make up the questions.
Does he email you or is it text message?
It's more of like a telepathic lightning strike. Like I get a sharp, like shocking pain, and I'm like, yes, like that's.
Why doesn't he just write them on a lightning bolt and throw that to you and not
Gabe,
like hit you?
Gabe, what implement are you going to use to write on lightning?
Dude, you have to pay the long distance charges on that stuff is ridiculous.
I mean, come on.
It's like $50
Round
per lightning
one
bolt.
Is divisive because we always talk about Halo, but I want to know, where do you think Halo 5 will rank in the Halo rankings? Will they achieve what they want, which is like, hey, we beat Bungie? Or is this going to end up towards the lower end of the Halo franchise?
So we're just comparing it to like Halo 1, 2, and 3? Or Reach included in there as
Sure,
well?
You can include Reach. Not 4, because that's a 343.
ODST?
Sure,
right?
add ODST in there. Does it have... Do you think it will have what it takes to kind of leave a new standard for the Halo franchise?
I think it could, but the problem is I think it won't because of just like, fan biasy, so to speak. Like it's one of those things where I think even if the game really was better in all accounts, people due to nostalgia and everything are always going to say, well, Halo 2 is the best, or whichever one is universally considered. I think it is Halo 2 that's considered to be the best. So most people will just say, oh, that's the best one, period, and that's it. And that's why I think there's very little chance that they will surpass it. But at the same time, I think for me personally, I think I am really excited about what they could do. So
yeah, that pretty much echoes my sentiment. Like I think the golden era of Halo was like Halo 1 and 2. Like I think that's just what people would look back and they're gonna be like, yeah, that was when it was my jam. Now, like, back then I wasn't super into Halo, so Halo 5 might be my jam because it's a little bit faster. And I like faster gameplay. The old Halos are a little slower. And that's fine. And I can already see the comments, oh, Gabe just loves Call of Duty. Apparently people think I love Call of Duty for some reason.
I think people are just going to say Gabe just loves jam.
Jam's good too, I suppose.
Why don't you just say it could be my peanut butter?
It could be
my ketchup.
Well, it can't be his ketchup.
Man, I got the...
I think it already is his ketchup.
Yeah,
I got the gross... Somebody tweeted the grossest picture. I can't even describe it. But I didn't appreciate that. That person that sent that picture with that girl, that was terrible of you.
Was she like dressed in ketchup, or what was going on? Describe
I don't even want to.
I want to hear.
He doesn't want to recall it. It's a bad memory.
No, but I think this Halo might be the Halo for me. I hope that's what I'm hoping. So, I have hopes for it. But
my thing is like, if they try to do Halo, I don't think so. But if they're willing to say, hey, let's take Halo as more of like,
they're saying, hey.
Halo. If they turn Halo into Hilo and it's a bunch of old ladies playing cards, and maybe I'll be on board. But what I'm saying is like, take Halo as a concept and apply it to a not different. Like we're not going to be playing Mario Party, but like either more open world elements or more objective based within the story. Something that finds a way to redefine what that gameplay is, rather than just saying Master Chief is on a new planet facing new aliens doing the same dang thing, and it's not going to be as original because it's been done before and shooter. Like, I think they need to change the game up, and I'm hoping that because we haven't seen anything, maybe that's where they're going a little bit.
Well, I mean, we've seen we haven't
single
seen
player.
anything, like single player. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'm hoping to.
Yeah.
And then round 2 is one that I know is near and dear to Max's heart, because me and Max have clawed each other on this one.
Microsoft bought
We did?
Microsoft bought Claw? Is that what happened?
Yep, they bought it right under my nose. It was me and them bidding. We were like, "Hey, I'll give you $200." They came in with 201, and it was just sealed the deal. They got the license.
So round 2 is, will Tomb Raider, or Rise of the Tomb Raider as it's called,
Oh, here we go.
score above or below an 8?
Below.
Above, way above.
I say below.
I have faith in that game. I don't know why. That same thing that you have, that like you don't know why, but you think it's going to be a disappointment. I don't know why, but I think it's going to be.
I can kind of articulate why I think it's going to be a disappointment. Like, to me, I think it's because, like, I almost feel like if we wouldn't have gotten Tomb Raider yet, I think that they would have taken some more time to really, like, develop some interesting ideas and everything. Whereas I think this is going to be kind of a bit of a rushed product. I hope I'm wrong, but
I don't know what's
I have
rushed
a
about
feeling
it. It's like 2.5 years. I mean, I get what you're saying, but
they don't make those games. Like, it's not a it's not a Ubisoft or an EA or a team that typically can have such a quick turnaround, in my opinion. So
we'll see.
As a result of that, I don't know. We'll see. I guess we'll see what happens. I'm just wondering.
Maybe you won't see. Maybe it'll get delayed, and you won't see.
Exactly.
Maybe it'll get canceled. I mean, Square now has Just Cause 3, which has been kind of announced as holiday 2015.
Yeah, that gameplay trailer was awesome.
Speaking of my jam.
Yeah, I don't think there was actually any gameplay in that trailer whatsoever.
And here I come to defend the game. I love Just Cause, by the way.
I'm not saying anything bad about Just Cause. I'm
yeah,
for the
he
game.
didn't say anything about.
No. I know. But just technically, there was gameplay. They just did it in this weird, like, spectator
mode. That's not
mode.
gameplay,
Like,
then. That's spectator mode. Call it the spectator trailer.
It's gameplay.
Okay, let's get real clear here.
Angles.
Gameplay means that it's playing the game, right? That's the definition of that word.
Well,
yeah, somebody was playing that game.
So they're not playing the game. They're moving the camera and looking at it. So
here's what I might be wrong. Someone's playing that game, but they got it in a weird camera angle, and they were like,
why don't they just show us the game that you're gonna play?
I don't know.
Are you pumped for Just Cause though? You think it's gonna?
Oh
yeah. It looks cool. I mean, it's the same thing if, like, when they were releasing GTA, they just did the whole thing from, like, they were like, hey, this is a gameplay trailer, and then they did it from that director's thing on the PC. It's like, it's gameplay. I mean, nowadays, that's better than just CGI. So, I mean, at least that was good. It looks crazy. Like, in my opinion, it's basically, like, the perfect kind of, like, Fast and Furious Terminator kind of thing. That's what I tweeted. Like, I feel like it's a crossover between those two where it's just crazy, chaotic. You don't really need a campaign in that game because I don't think anybody's going to be playing it or caring for it very much.
I hope they have one because I feel like
there is.
And maybe I just suck, but
they'll
feel like
have one.
When I play those games, I want to make cool stuff happen, and it's never as cool as it is in my head. I'm like, maybe if we drag the airplane and then jump off the cliff, it'll do this. And it's like, no, he just falls and dies. So I hope that there's some, like, structure so I can still enjoy those mechanics, but without having to be Mr. Imagination myself.
I believe they've said there's no multiplayer, right? I think they said that. Somebody could Google that because my keyboard's super loud. But I believe that's what they've said.
So now we look at Square with Tomb Raider, Just Cause, and we basically then can say that Deus Ex is not coming this year no matter what.
No, it's not.
For sure. But
I think it would be silly for them to release it, especially now that we saw what Call of Duty Blobs 3 is going to be.
No multiplayer at launch, map size, blah, blah. So no multiplayer at launch, whatever that means.
Yeah, there you go.
DLC, baby. Yeah. DLC.
Well, no, not DLC. Hopefully they do what they did with Just Cause 2. They added it later, but it was free.
Okay.
Either way, Tomb Raider, I definitely think gets above an 8. I think it gets above a 9. I think it's up for Game of the Year.
Wow, above a 9.
I think it gets above a 10 somehow. It does
10.2?
Wait. We're evaluating on a scale of 1 to 10, right?
Correct.
Like, I don't want you to all of a sudden be like, hey, it was out of 100, so I was right the whole time.
No, I think this game will compete for Game of the Year. I know it's a shorter cycle. Maybe the developer doesn't have a lot, but the foundation that they had reminds me of the foundation that Assassin's Creed 1, Mass Effect 1 had. And even farther along, you've got a really good game, and the ways that they're expanding it, to me, speak to them understanding how to improve this game. They're not just saying, Lara now is half naked because we're in the Caribbean or something. They're saying a bigger world, more puzzly tombs, opportunities to spec your character in different ways. To me, that sounds like they understand how to improve this game.
Sure. Yeah, we'll see.
If anything, she's wearing extra clothes.
Exactly.
I mean, saying and executing is a very big difference.
Totally
'Cause
true.
A lot of times we hear things, and then when the game comes out, it's like, okay. Interesting.
And that's the thing I wanted to touch on really quickly. Like, they've built the game.
Okay.
Like, the engine for the game. Like, it's all built. Why would it take them longer instead of, like, less
Fair
time?
enough.
So.
We'll see what happens.
Round 3 may be even more controversial, or maybe it'll be a clean sweep. But talking about Microsoft today, will Xbox have a chance
will
to overtake PlayStation 4, not in total sales, but just for like the holiday month, so like the November-December season?
They does, and they will. Yeah, they have more games coming out. Like,
didn't they do that last year because of the price drop?
Yeah,
they're probably going to do another price drop, right?
Nah, they can't
go down to 300.
Nah, they won't go down.
No, not a permanent price drop.
Just another Santa
another
special
thing. Yeah, they say, hey, October, November, December, it's $300 or something.
So, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but my perception has been that it's now permanent, that it's just $350 now. Is that not true?
In Canada, it's more, but that's because of the Canadian dollar. Like, for example, for us, like Star Wars is going to be $80 brand new. Wow. So, yeah, game prices have gone up here. But that's because of the exchange, like the dollar. So I'm not sure if it's permanent or not.
The cost of bagging milk is probably at an all-time high.
Huge industry.
Yeah. I think so as well. And I also think it's time for the main event. Zeus has laid his claim, but now it's our turn to tell you what we predict for Microsoft at E3 this year. And we've brought in a lot of your ideas, thoughts, predictions as well. Thanks to everybody for sending in. Remember, we need your thoughts, opinions, questions. Can't stop asking at gmail.com. Next week we'll be asking for Sony, but today it's all about the big X. Who wants to kick this off with some predictions?
The big M.
Some show predictions. Phil Spencer gets on stage. What are they talking about?
I say he's going to wear a T-shirt of one of the developers.
Okay.
That's my prediction. I'm putting that down, lock it in, mail it, done.
Are we doing predictions each of us? Is that what we're doing?
Do it.
Go.
Fine, I'll start. You'll make me start.
Here we go.
Okay.
Here we go.
I think that this whole Windows 10 thing is going to be like a big part of it now. Like, you're going to be able to play Xbox games on your PC. I think they're going to make a big deal out of that. So the whole Windows 10 PC Xbox integration, I think that's going to get a push. I think they're going to give a decent chunk of time to that, actually.
You want to go one, or you want to go like their whole show? Like, lay it out for us. What do you think they got going on here?
All right. I think they're going to do that. Big Halo single player reveal. Apparently somebody told us that we're wrong, that Call of Duty extended their contract with Microsoft by 4 years, so it's probably at their conference again. That's what somebody told me. I don't know.
Okay.
By somebody, I mean Zach's comments. What else? I think we see Crackdown. I think that game comes out this year. Gears of War.
Which Gears
Remastered
of War?
or new or 4?
I think we see the new one. I think the remaster also comes out this year. That's a lot of games.
Wait, so you think Gears, Crackdown, Tomb Raider, and Halo are all
Forza
coming out this year?
Get Crackdown out of there then. All right.
What do they do next year? They have nothing then. They've all of
Gears.
everything. No, but you just
Real
said it's
Gear.
coming out this year.
No, Real Gears is next year. I'm saying
Okay, so it gets announced this year, but it doesn't come out this year.
No, I'm saying we get a release this year for Gears 1 Remastered.
Okay.
And then next year we get like Gears 4.
So
I know
they
it's not
really
Gears 4.
give you the worst value in gaming.
Zach, you get out of here with that. Okay?
Martin,
because you're not throwing paint at each other.
Loves you, Gabe. Martin writes in and says that he wishes and hopes that they will address the recent rumors of a Gears of War remaster. He says, whilst I'm starting to get annoyed with next gen being filled with remasters, I really do hope that Gears of War gets one. But for me, it has to be all 3 games. 4 if you include Judgment, rather than just Gears 1. Really, really hoping we get that. Keep up the good podcast. Regards. Martin, sorry to say, you're getting Gears 1.
No. And here's the other thing, right?
By itself.
Remember when Master Chief Collection, like they were saying, like, oh, it's just Halo 2 Anniversary, but then they came out and they're like, nope, it's not just that, it's all this.
I don't think they were ever saying that.
Yeah,
the only
they fully were.
No, they didn't.
I think they said Master Chief, and we assumed that Halo 2 Anniversary would be in it.
Well, no. What happened was there was a rumor saying, hey, you guys, this wasn't Microsoft saying it was a leak, saying, hey, Anniversary Edition for Halo 2 is coming because they sold you Halo 1 Anniversary on its own, remember that?
Yeah.
So there's precedent for this. And then they're like, no, we're not just giving you 2, we're going to do all these together and here, have at it. I think that's what's going to happen, hopefully. I think they know better than to just give us Gears 1. Like, they know better, right? Like, they have to.
I just think the whole thing's really screwy because there was a time when on, like, Xbox 360, you bought old games like, say, Beyond Good and Evil for, like, $10 or $20. And then they do, like, Halo Anniversary, the first one for full $60. And then they do Master Chief Collection for $60, and you're getting, like,
I don't think that
games.
Anniversary was $60
Was it
right
40?
away.
It was
I think it
$60.
was $40.
No, it was $60. Oh, wait.
I'm pretty sure it was $40.
You might be right.
Because I would be shocked if they charged $60 for that.
No, it was $60.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay, that's
It's
surprising.
just very strange the way that they're kind of oscillating these value propositions, and I just feel like...
Oh, dude, that collection, if it really comes out, if it's really Gears 1 for $60 or $40 even, just Gears 1,
Okay.
that thing's going to be on clearance within a
$20
month.
is Black Friday.
Which is where Master Chief Collection is now because that thing wasn't working in the beginning. But let's say it's all 3. Are you happy with that?
Yes.
Okay.
But
keep judgment
I don't
away
want
from
to. I honestly don't want any more remasters. I prefer
think-
not getting it at all.
I would like to play Horde mode in 1080 with friends.
Yeah.
But I could care less about the Gears 1 campaign. Like that's like the first game that, sure, it made cover shooters popular, but why are you going to take your 2 shooter properties and say Halo is worth $60 for 4 games and Gears is worth 40 or 60? I mean, maybe they come out and say it's free for everyone on Xbox. Games for Gold November, you get Gears 1. Who knows? I guess we can wait and see on that.
I mean, but there will be some type of Gears reintroduction.
Sure.
Other than just saying, like, hey, the new game is coming next year. But between now and then, they're going to do something to try to get people back into Gears.
Okay.
Because no one's playing Judgment anymore.
Yeah.
So they need to do something to bring that player base back a little bit. People that are maybe... There's a lot of people still just playing Gears 2 and 3 on Xbox 360.
A lot,
Like,
really?
More than Evolve. I'm joking. But...
Well, I don't know if that would be right. I'd be actually pretty surprised. I'm pretty sure it is right, but
it's still semi.
I don't know.
The servers
Are
still
we
on,
really?
you can still
Are we
find
really
matches.
excited about a Gears though? Like,
I am. A new Gears, fully, I am.
To me, I feel like Gears feels like a shooter of the past. And maybe I'm wrong, but to me, like, that franchise exists so solid in that gen, right? Like the Xbox 360 gen.
Yeah.
Pulling it back out, especially with the tone, like I think that's maybe my issue. Like that tone, I feel like it's gonna come off really cheesy if it's like Marcus like slicing through the screen and he walks out and he's like, "Let's get some grub." Like,
all right. And here's the other
know.
thing: we don't know
I
what
don't
the
know.
new Gears is. The new Gears probably isn't Marcus. First of all, we don't know the tone.
I think it's Marcus.
Second
for
of all,
sure.
I don't think.
How do they sell that game if they come out with another beefy dude? That doesn't sell. It's gotta be Marcus.
I don't think it's Marcus. Like,
okay, it's still gonna be Gears of War. At the end of the day, like, it's not gonna be something. Oh, what a drastic difference! It's gonna be the same thing. There's big monsters. You guys have chainsaw guns.
yeah,
Go.
and that's fine. But also the gameplay, you're saying like it's a game of last gen. We don't know what the gameplay like. Maybe they change it up. Who knows? Plus, I like, even if it is like just Gears of War 4 and it's still Marcus. And somehow, like you said, there's a locust baby and it's coming back somehow.
Okay, did you
like,
play Judgment?
Yeah.
Did you like Judgment?
No, but not because
Why?
it didn't have Marcus.
Okay,
Not
but
because
why?
It was just a little boring. Like, the story wasn't what I was hoping it was going to be.
The story.
The story
really,
is never
I
the
don't
strong
think,
point of
yeah,
Gears.
Well, no.
exactly.
I know that this isn't, like, to me, this is a B level. Like, I love Sharknado. Like, I know it's freaking terrible, but it's amusing to watch. Like, same with this. Like,
Yeah, so then is it a $60 game? Like, is it like a big franchise like you're
dude,
pitching
the
it to be?
multiplayer is, like, super, like there's a lot.
I don't know why. I feel like Zach nailed it. Like, I really think that this is a game of last gen. Like, I think that to me personally, they peaked with Gears 2. Gears 3 was already, for me, like a step down. Judgment, I didn't even try because it just didn't look like it did anything interesting. It was literally just a cash in. So to me, I don't know. I feel like I would have much rathered for that team to work on something new and get.
Well, that team is working on something new. This is Black Tusk.
Okay, well then Black Tusk working on something new too.
Black
Like,
Tusk was working
Black
on
Tusk
something
to
new,
work
and then
on?
they got that canned and said, Gears of War 4,
Yeah.
make it now.
I don't
Dude,
know.
like I mean, people are so unappreciative of Gears. Like these
Did Gears buy you a
That's-
hamburger, Gabe?
That's a weird statement, right? But we have horde modes now because of Gears. Like Gears popularized them. Not that they never existed before, but they like damn near perfected them, right? And after that,
Yeah, but
everything had
Doom
a-
popularized like first-person shooters, and I don't think anybody's excited for Doom 4.
No, I know that, but this isn't. I don't know, man. Let me be excited for my
Go
Gears.
for it. I hope they do what I said about Halo. Give us that kind of core mechanic gameplay in a different way. Like, mix it up. If they just come out and it's like, there's Locust, there's boxes to sit behind, and here's Marcus. Man, like, it's the same thing with God of War. If it's just Kratos again. But see, like, here's the deal.
See, look, I'm gonna bring them up very quickly. I don't want to get into a whole thing about them. The next Mario game is gonna be like you're jumping on heads again. Like that's what it is, right? And there's no complaints there. But if Gears is the same thing that it
I
was,
do complain. I want them to make an open world Mario game, but
maybe it's an open world Gears game.
run around and capture women. That's Marcus.
All right, everybody, let these guys know how wrong they are. Let us know that Gears is still
I'm sure
loved
they
out
will,
there.
but I really genuinely think that if they announce Gears, I really don't think that it's going to be as big as people think it is. I think that franchise is already like Judgment was final nail in the coffin, and this is just kind of trying to.
It's not like Judgment was like terrible either. Like it wasn't.
They're going to
like,
try to
great,
hit it with a defibrillator and bring it back to life, but I really think that Gears is over with. I don't think that the modern player or gamer wants to play that kind of game anymore.
And I say
a big
you're wrong.
majority of gamers, like they're going to try to pitch it because again, you see, the issue is that they're going to try to pitch it as on par with Halo, on par, which Halo also has been not massive, but on par with like the biggest franchise in the gaming industry. And I really don't think that it is that anymore.
No, it's definitely not one of the biggest franchises in the industry, especially not in 2015. But you forget, like, people that, like, 360s were their first consoles, like 12, 13-year-olds. Gears 1, 2, and 3 were staples of the game.
Yeah, but here's
industry.
like the thing I don't like about it. If you look at the 360 gen, our most beloved games are all new franchises. So this idea that we're going to take Infamous and revitalize it for a new era of people. We're going to take Gears. We're going to take like at a certain point, when do they say, is it year 4, year 5? Like, we need the BioShocks, the Arkham Asylums, the Uncharted's, the Gears for this generation, right? And I know we've seen it with maybe, but it's like that's kind of my thing when I said like it feels like last gen. Like, I know it's cool to see your favorites in HD, but like give us the Gears collection and work on something else. I mean, I don't know. That's Smash Brown takes us in a totally different direction. He says, do you think it's ever possible that Microsoft would dive into a handheld system? And I just want to throw that out there because I thought it was just kind of a crazy idea.
Absolutely not. Like, that's a dying market. Like,
it's Nintendo's market and phone market.
And even that market, like even the Nintendo, the 3DS, that can only go on for so long. Like, people at one point just, we have our phones in our pockets. Like, we don't want to carry this secondary thing. That's why the Vita failed, even though the Vita is a great device, like, in every sense of the word, except that, people didn't want to make games for it because they didn't sell. Why didn't it sell? Because everybody's on their phones. No way they...
I mean, Vita is weird because, again, as a hardware, it's failed, but as a software, I think it's actually doing very well because from what I remember, it has like a ridiculous attach rate, like something insane, 11 games or something like that. Like the average owner buys 11 games for that thing, where that's incredible considering how many of them they were selling. So I don't see Microsoft doing anything like that. They failed doing a whole phone thing. So with that, I think that maybe might have been like their kind of mobile, like, maybe cross it over with Xbox and some sort of integration. But I think they struggle with the phones. I don't see them. If they do anything mobile again, it'll be a phone. It's not going to be... It's not going to be like a handheld device or something.
Yeah, I think added value is kind of what the Vita now brings to Sony. Like, hey, cross-buy, hey, you can put this on your Vita. And that's where I think the Windows 10 integration will probably come in. I've heard rumors that it's going to be bigger than people believe it to be. So my thinking is that in some way new discs are going to work on both. That you could put the game in a PC or put the game on Xbox One, or at least some dual integration where you can download it, have them both, or maybe going forward.
You're streaming it.
Yeah, streaming, or maybe going.
You're not doing this.
That makes things tricky though, because why would you want to have an Xbox One?
No,
you have to have it in your Xbox One. It can stream to PC or something.
Yeah.
But the problem is then why the heck would I have it in my Xbox One and then shift to my PC? Do you know what I mean? Like it sounds.
You play with mouse and
well,
keyboard.
the thing I've heard is that they've previously viewed.
But you
them
can plug a mouse and keyboard into the Xbox One with USB.
Didn't know that worked.
The thing I've heard is that they have viewed them in the past as competitive markets, PC versus Xbox One, and now they're shifting to view it as complementary markets. And that they don't have to compete. And so I wonder if they try to bring back some sort of Microsoft store where, like, going forward, every Xbox One game will launch day and date on PC as well. And I don't know how much value that brings to it, but something is up.
You just gave me an idea, and I know you don't. I know you don't care. You made that abundantly clear. But Gears of War comes out, right? Let's say you can play. It comes out on both PC and Xbox. You buy one, you have it for both, and that's double the player base. Like, you don't have to have an Xbox One to have it. You can play with your PC players if it's something like that. I don't know that it is, but
I think generally speaking, that would be a great idea. Like in terms of, like, for example, I have friends who don't have a PS4 but would love to play Bloodborne. If it came out on the PC, that'd be awesome. And I'm not trying to be like, oh, I'm a console purist or something, but I think
you are.
Kind of, but to be honest, I probably play the most on PC, oddly enough. But I think that doing that is very, very tricky in terms of exclusives with your console, because at that point, I have practically no reason to buy.
But what if they structure it this way? With your Xbox Live Gold subscription, you have access to a gold version of Windows 10 where now you can play on both. So you're required to still have the Xbox One. You can't get this. You can't just like walk into the store and buy it, Gears 4 and play it on both. But as a perk for being a...
No, I'm saying if it's available on PC,
yes.
I think 90% of people would choose PC.
But what if you could only get
it and it will continue to grow.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying it's a PC release. I'm saying you have to have the Xbox One version.
Yeah, but then you get to a weird thing of like, why would I, like, okay, let's say here I come home, right, I'm like, oh, I'm going to play Gears. Like the general person,
sure.
We have to remember that that's the key demographic, right? And I turn on my Xbox, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go upstairs to my office and I'm going to play it on the PC.
But people have that weird idea, like, I want to see what this looks like on PC. I want to play it on PC.
Okay, but then if you're talking about graphically, if it's so much better on the PC, then why would you even want to bother, like, having it in your Xbox? Plus, how do you check for that kind of thing? Like, how do you set up a system? Do you need to turn on your Xbox, run upstairs, and then it syncs?
So what is the beneficial integration that you see with Windows 10?
I don't know what they do in what capacity.
No, because I think you guys are sort of blowing it. Like, all right, the thing is, you're not gonna be able to change your graphics settings. Like, you're gonna stream it from your Xbox the way it looks. Like, it's not a full PC release.
Okay,
but they're giving you the option to play it on your PC. Let's say someone's using your TV. My wife watches TV all the time, right? I can't go play Xbox over there.
You have one TV. Let's be honest. Most households have more than one TV.
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah.
Okay, and then if you're talking about streaming, then let's say if your wife is watching Netflix, guess what? That quality of that game is going to be awful because your bandwidth is getting smashed.
Sure, but that's going to be probably what it is because they do. PlayStation does that now, but now I think Microsoft comes in and they do something different to it. Like, I think they let us play with people, like, let's say Gears 4 comes out on PC as a full PC release, like separate from the
which then right away makes it no longer an exclusive to Xbox One.
No, it's exclusive. It's exclusive to Windows at this point, to Microsoft.
Okay, but it's exclusive if it's on PC. No, but that's I think the biggest marketplace.
But then you let them play together. That's all. I think
the structure of it is
that Street Fighter is doing that. They said they're going to experiment with that, right? Like where you're going to be able to, and that's great. But what I'm trying to say is that if you're saying, "Hey, we're going to sell you a console," but all of our games, look, all third-party games are available on the PC. Practically all of them, right? And then on top of that, guess what? Our exclusives are no longer exclusive to this box, but you can actually get them on the PC.
That's sort of how it is now.
Why do I need to buy an Xbox?
That's sort of What
Okay, but
exclusives
can I
does
play
PS4 have besides Bloodborne and Last of Us that are drawing people to buy that console?
The Order?
I mean, I think the way it goes is that
Destiny,
your gamer tag carries over PC, Windows 10 to Xbox, and you can pop the disc in if you're an Xbox Live Gold member. And sure, the value of that is limited cases, but I don't know what other integration they do, because just saying like, oh, it looks like Windows.
Wait. You do what? So you need to have Xbox Live
right
in order to play the game on the PC.
Because your gamer tag will be cross, like log in on Windows 10, log in on Xbox, and now you can play the game both if you desire. So you're still required to have the Xbox. Like there's no way where it's
I know, but
this
is what I'm saying. There is no way
like on Xbox and put it in my PC.
I know, but the problem is if that's it, okay. So with that in mind, then you face limitations of bandwidth. How smooth can you stream this thing?
I'm not saying stream. I'm saying the disc works.
You just put it into your PC?
Yeah.
I don't think that's an.
Well, first of all, that becomes tricky because you need to have everybody have a Blu-ray player in their PCs, because those discs, or you're going to have 50 discs. Like if you have GTA 5, like you see, this is what I mean.
I think it's pretty stupid when we talk about it.
Exactly.
But I don't know what else they do with Windows 10.
And maybe I guess here's the key.
Here's the key.
The word out there is that, hey, this is good. This is bigger than people expect. There's smarter minds over there than ours, I would hope. So maybe they have something.
Sometimes, yeah.
They have something super creative going on. Who knows?
Yeah, look, I think it's going to be interesting. I would love for everybody on PC to be able to play all these exclusives. So that's not what I'm trying to say. But what I am saying is that if they decide to say, hey, all of our exclusives from now on are day and day PC or Windows exclusive, which, come on, it's PC and Xbox One. That makes no sense. Like, there's no need for me to own an Xbox One ever.
So it's probably just like pathetic. Like, now you get Internet Explorer for free on your Xbox One. Like, what? Let's get back to games. Max, lay out the press conference for us in your vision.
You didn't even let me.
Okay. Finish it then. What's the finisher?
I forgot. See, when I was originally going down my train,
we destroyed you on the gear station.
I had more.
Should not have stopped at that station. Your mother told you, don't get off at the gear station.
You guys chainsawed my train of thought, so I have nothing else. Just wanted to point out that I didn't get to finish. But all right,
if it comes back, you let us know. But Max, kick it off here.
I really think that. I think that Microsoft has the chance to really wow everybody. I think that. If, like, you see, for example, last year, I think that their press conference for last year was underrated, in my opinion, because I think they did do what a lot of people have asked for them to do, but still people are like, well, yeah, but it wasn't good enough. Right. Like, they wanted games, and that's what they did. Like, they literally gave us, like, 2 hours of just game after game after game. They didn't talk about they talked just a tiny little bit about, all the business mumbo-jumbo, but predominantly it was just game announcement after game announcement after game announcement. So building off of that, I think that they might try to do the same thing. My worry is that they looked at that and said, look, we gave them what they wanted last year, and they still complained. So this year, we're going to do what we want to do. And we're going to do the Windows thing, and we're going to explain it, and we're going to pitch it. So I'm worried about that. I'm worried that they're going to kind of take a step back. But at the same time, I think that going into E3, they have the most games to show. Like, I think that they have the most things that we're aware of. Now, of course, you can take that two ways. Some people could say, well, that's actually a bad thing, because then there's very little surprises, because we kind of know, okay, now there's time for Halo, then after that they're going to do this, and then they're going to get a new Gears, Forza. So they kind of have, I guess that's, again, a double-edged sword. Like, some people are going to be happy about that because we know that they're going to show a ton of stuff. There's going to be lots of exclusives. But at the same time, is there going to be something surprising? Like, is there going to be a banjo that they come out with, or something cool? I would like to see. I believe that they will do something unique, something different will be thrown in there, because I think that if we look at it purely on their exclusives right now, they're all very gritty, kind of rated T and M games. I think that they will throw something more family friendly in there. So I would totally expect that. And then I think we also will get a section on the HoloLens. I think that's the place where they will talk about that stuff some more.
The VR stuff.
Oh,
the VR
I
stuff.
think that stuff is very far. Like, I don't think
I think they do something about it. It might not be. I'm not sure. It may not be in the main conference. You're right. It might be one of those things that they talk like after, after the show, after they do the presentation, they'll have people talking. But I would not be surprised if they do some sort of demo, right? And they say, hey, we're very excited about VR, and this is kind of our idea with this HoloLens project. And then they'll show something and say, like, this is coming within the next few years, just to kind of like, inform players and Windows users that this is stuff that we're working on.
Taking it back a little bit to the Rare stuff, we had 2 different Liams write in about Banjo-Kazooie, which I thought was incredible.
Liam Neeson was one of them.
And they both were talking about, they want a Banjo back. The rumor has been that Battletoads is the Rare franchise getting revitalized. What the heck? What are they? Is that like a side-scroller? Like, what is that game? Open world Toad
that's a
adventure?
side-scrolling. No, it's a side-scrolling beat-em-up.
Like a downloadable game? That can't be a full product, right?
Oh, you're saying the new one?
Yeah,
I thought you were asking what the old
what do they
one was.
do with that?
Oh, I don't know. And that's what I wanted to say. I think they've like learned from Sony. All these like smaller indie games like are successful for Sony for the most part. Like at the very least, like they say, hey, at least Sony has releases, even though they're like really small releases. I think they take a cue from that and they say, hey, we're gonna give you small Battletoads, man. Maybe a small I don't think we get a full Banjo, but maybe a small downloadable Banjo that costs $20, $30, whatever. I think they do stuff like that. I don't.
Maybe, yeah.
I think we're past every game needing to be like this big major release. Like that's just not how things go. And then you have things like State of Decay that sell really, really well. I think they look at that and say, hey, we originally sold this for like $20 or whatever it was, and this sold like well over 1 million copies like quickly. So not everything needs to be in a box. You can have these smaller games that are still just great.
You guys ever run into like the issue of playing a smaller game, like a $15, $20 downloadable game? I have 2 in mind on PS4, and feeling like, why did I pay for this? Because I don't know. I just feel like at the $20 price point or $15, it's very shaky. You're borderline playing a game that could be free online versus like a full experience. Like State of Decay is a great example of one that pushes that $20 price tag very far. This week I played Tower of Guns and Ziggurat, which are 2 like first-person shooter roguelike type games, and both of them mechanically don't feel polished. Both of them feel very limited in what they are. Both of them feel like they lack explanation or groundedness, and I left myself wondering, why did I pay for either of these games? Because I feel like I could probably go find some Flash game online that would replicate what they did. And
I think you exaggerate just a little with that. Like, though I haven't played those 2, the ones you mentioned, right? But you can't play Axiom Verge on like as a Flash game, like not at that
quality. But again, that game exudes polish.
Yeah,
and
so that's what I'm saying.
I agree with you. I think that there has been definitely a weird trend of kind of quality going down and quantity going up, in terms of we get way more indie games and way more like just a bunch of roguelike games and this type of game and platformer and mechanics and puzzler, blah blah blah. There's like 100,000 games, but a gem standing out of those has been a little bit more rare, it feels like. That's a good pun there. I feel like it. I feel like that for every like Binding of Isaac, we get like 100 games that are kind of like, I'm better off to just play Binding of Isaac.
The point around all of that is like back in the Xbox 360 days, talking about Microsoft, they had an arcade game of the week, and so typically.
Yeah, those games were good. Yeah,
right,
they
and
were
now
solid
with
week
Sony,
to week,
like, we got all these indies, I feel like that glut has almost diluted the store, where it's more difficult to discern, find the Ori, find the Axiom Verge, find the Binding of Isaac amongst
I think that's
so
up
many.
to you just to reach out, like, again, like we talked about before, where it's your responsibility, I guess, at this point to find the games that you're interested in. Again, it's kind of twofold, where it's nice because we get way more variety, right? Like you do have all of this crazy amount of selection, but at the same time you kind of are more responsible to really dig deep and find which games are quality and which ones are not so good and which ones are just honestly awful. So
sure.
I think it's not been nearly as bad as stuff we see on Steam. I think Steam is having a very hard time with that, in terms of just that there's sometimes just games that are completely broken, like games that just do not work, and maybe you paid $10, $15, $20 for them. So it's not, I don't think it's ever been that bad on the console, so they've at least done that well. But I guess we'll see what happens. I think that honestly, as much as like what you said, Microsoft looks at that and implements it, I almost think that they could go the opposite and say, yeah, look, they do all this tiny stuff, but we've got Tomb Raider, Gears, Halo. They kind of like, stack the deck to say, look, those guys have tiny little games, but we bring you like these life-changing experience or whatever they title it,
Gears changed my life. How would you guys feel about Summer of Arcade coming back to a sense, right? We're talking about Battletoads, that not being a full release, right? But give us Battletoads, Banjo, and a couple others, 2 more, and do a month of weekly releases of these like good games of beloved franchises.
I think that was one of the most successful.
I don't know who the hell loves Battletoads, by the way.
Yeah.
Like who?
I love that Summer of Arcade stuff though. I look forward to that every year. Those were
So we get that, a Limbo that surprises
I mean,
us.
again, you see, the problem here is like, it's awesome for us, but there's a reason why they stopped doing it.
True.
Do you know what I mean? So it's tricky because, again, we don't get to see everything that they see, and to be fair, they don't see a lot of times what we see also. So it's tricky because maybe from a financial standpoint, it doesn't make sense for them. Maybe it was too small or something. I don't know why they stopped it because, again, like you said, I think...
They said why they stopped it.
Why did they stop it?
They said because they wanted to, like, make it just games, not just... Because at that time, it was downloadable games and games. Now it's just games. You know what I mean? And they just wanted that separation to sort of
everything's
go
under
away.
the same umbrella. If you go to the Xbox store,
Yeah,
previously,
but you could still file it like say, hey,
Well, yeah,
here's
that's what I'm
a
saying. They could
promotion
bring it back.
Summer of Arcade where
I don't think
they
it going away was
curate
financial.
3 or 4 games, right? Where they're like, okay, these are the games. We've QA'd them. They're awesome. We know that to their niche audiences, let's say even, they're going to be fantastic.
Sony
and
just
then
did that,
just
right?
Polish.
Yeah.
So
it has some merit, possibly.
Yeah, and I don't think it was financial at all because, Limbo breaking records, State of Decay breaking records, like these things are doing well, or at least they're saying they're doing well.
I wonder if it has something to do with
know.
like securing deals, like maybe the money in indie games now with Steam and Humble Bundle and all that. Maybe it's like to buy, a Shadow Complex now costs 4 times as much as it did, before. Max, do you have anything else on their conference? What do you think they end with? Like their final?
I think they end with Halo.
You think they end with Halo?
Yeah.
Okay. I would say the way I would lay it out is that I think they start with a Halo gameplay demo to get people like super hyped. Then
Halo or Call of Duty, sorry. One or the other.
Okay. I think they start with Halo and then go into the Windows 10 stuff. But I think their focus still remains like games. Phil Spencer has emphasized that all year long. He's talked about putting the money, where their mouth is and securing deals. So I think we get Halo. I think we get the Windows 10 stuff. But then I would expect us to get a like future segment, and then they'll say everything you see from this point forward, you'll be able to play this year. And in that segment, talking about that one first, Tomb Raider for sure, Call of Duty. I don't know where it ends up. We've talked about that, but probably Microsoft. I wouldn't be surprised to see Ubisoft and Assassin's Creed show up again. And then, Crackdown has been the likely rumor, but we had a number of people write in, including Thomas McCoy and Andrew Easterman, who both wrote in talking about Scalebound, which was sort of this game that looks really cool, but we didn't know anything about. And you could say, oh, that's unlikely it comes out this year, but we haven't seen anything on Crackdown. So to me,
we saw about the same amount for each.
Yeah, I guess. And so to me... Actually,
we probably saw more on Scalebound.
One of those games could come out this year and kind of be like an exclusive hit out of nowhere. Personally, I'd rather see Scalebound because it just seems like a more epic concept and unique. And then I think, that kind of establishes we've got Tomb Raider, Halo, Forza, and either Crackdown or Scalebound for this year. Boom. I do think they do something with Rare, and I think maybe they do Banjo because they've been leading everyone down an opposite route. And as you guys were talking about the downloadable, I was thinking like you hear about those customers that come into GameStop and say like, oh, I want Mario for Xbox One or I want Mario for PlayStation 4. What if they feel like maybe it's an opportunity to put a Mario type family game in a AAA fashion on their system and say like, hey, you don't have to buy a Wii U, you can play Banjo-Kazooie, and like that will fulfill that need. Like maybe there is actually a market for that, that they would like to tap into. Sony has done that a little bit with indie, with Knack, with stuff like that. Maybe they go there.
And Knack sold well. The game wasn't great, but
I think Knack had good fundamentals.
Mechanics,
yeah. So I would not mind seeing another one. But I think, like I said before, I think it's almost, in my opinion, would be kind of silly for them to not at least do something like a little bit more family friendly, because their entire lineup is all dark and mature and shooting and killing and blah, blah, blah. And I think it would be nice if they kind of like, said, okay, we have this, but then for those of you that are, let's say if you're a family man, right, and you bought the Xbox, but then now you have a kid and you want to play with him, you're not going to play Call of Duty with him, right? Or Gears of War. So here's this really good, compelling, family-friendly game.
Sure. And then
they might even do a Viva Pinata or something.
Please, yeah, that's what I want. Please. As long as it's not Connect Sports.
And that's another thing I think is going to be great about their conference. They've basically said, we're done with Connect. That I think we're not going to have to deal with that BS anymore, right? The Connect stuff, that's kind of out of the way. And so now, so long as VR doesn't soak up a lot of time, it should be games. And I bet we get, similar to last year, a big third-party exclusive. In the same way that they said Tomb Raider for next year, in 2014, Tomb Raider for 2015. I was trying to look through the list of upcoming games. I could see them doing something. Andrew Easterman also brought this up, a Borderlands 3 exclusive on Xbox One, maybe Mirror's Edge, something of that quality. Like, not like the mega title like Call of Duty, but more like a Dead Space 4, something to cool. say like, hey, we've got a third-party exclusive for 2016, similar to Tomb Raider.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, so that's what you think they end with?
No, I still think they end with Gears. I think they end with a trailer for Gears 4. Like, they'll announce the remaster during the show probably, but trailer for... Because I don't know, with Halo being the thing they're go-to, and that's coming out, what is, like, your Microsoft identifying game, right? It's got to be Gears, unless they have something out of nowhere. I mean, I think they will also do small deals. Like, they had Evolve at their show last year with, like, oh, you play the beta. So maybe their Square Enix partnership leans them with Just Cause or Deus Ex, some sort of, like, console preferential thing. And I bet we do see Black Ops 3 on there. I don't think Microsoft would... Losing that has been, like, their big get for how many years now, right? So I can't see... If they're willing to put down money for Tomb Raider, you have to imagine that they have an unlimited check for whatever Activision wants. Knowing that, Sony has Destiny.
I think they're kicking themselves for Destiny.
Yeah.
I bet you they were like, yeah, it's okay, we got Call of Duty. We don't really need Destiny. And then now I bet you they're kicking themselves for not securing that. I think they will probably maintain that, right? I almost, though, I honestly would be kind of disappointed if they ended with Gears.
I mean, this
is the problem. It's like I said, it's kind of double-edged where we know that they're going to have a ton of stuff, but we almost know all of it.
And that's what I was going to ask.
I wish that there would be something else. And honestly, I think that it would be amazing if it wasn't a sequel. I think that I know that people wouldn't get as excited about it because that's the truth. Like, the truth is, if they announced, oh, here's Halo 6 or whatever, it's not going to happen. But that's going to get way more of a response than if they say, hey, here's this new game that we're working on. But I really would like for them to do something big and something interesting and new so that we can start this kind of new cycle of new IP, where we can say that, hey, this year, we're still going to do the sequelitis thing. We're still pumping out more sequels of last gen and previous gen stuff. But in 2016, we have this very big new title that is an interesting new IP. I think
we get something. I think we get something new, because it'd be sort of weird, like, to just, we know everything that's going to be at the conference. Like, I think they have to have one surprise, and they try new IP, like you said, the game you just mentioned with Scalebound that you said, right? Like, that's a new IP, and I think we get one more like super cool trailer, right? Unreal Engine 4 looking amazing, graphically. No gameplay, obviously. We're going to see a very cool trailer.
I wouldn't be surprised if we get something brand new for this year.
No, not
I don't think we're getting anything new for this year. The only one that we would is Scalebound,
but
maybe.
Would you consider, like, Banjo-Kazooie new if they unveiled it and it was, I guess, something unannounced, I should say?
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if we get something unannounced this year.
But you see, that's the thing. It's like, I almost feel, again, like we're going into it, even the unannounced stuff, we're kind of like, it's going to be Banjo, it's going to be this. Whereas with Sony, which we're going to be talking about next week, again, double-edged sword. We think that there's nothing coming at all, but that also means that if they announce stuff, it's going to be awesome, because it's going to be so surprising because nobody's expecting that. So again, it's, I guess, depending on what kind of person you are. Like for me, I'm much more about the surprise. Like I like to kind of like not know what could be possible that we will find out. So I'd be more excited about that. But at the same time, I know that there's a lot of people that would prefer to kind of like, hey, we're getting a new Gears.
I think it's just
because
the lineup is
and we're getting this.
Impressive. We know that they have 4 or 5 exclusives for this fall. We know, I forgot to mention Quantum Break will be surely shown there. That's a lineup for 2016. Yeah. Gears 4 is 2016. They're laying like a yellow brick road to follow for why you get Xbox One. Sony seems to be out of bricks for this year even. So
no, you just wait.
I hope.
You just wait, Zachary.
I hope. I'm just saying it's cool to me that Microsoft at least, like, yeah, we know about a lot of them, but there's 8, 9, 10, 12 games that are, like, coming for that system that we can at least say, like, okay, you can go and have an exclusive. Nintendo, what the heck are they doing beyond this year? We don't know. I want to get to a couple emails that had some interesting ideas. We'll touch back on Andrew here again. He brings up a crazy one. He thinks that Blink's the Time Sweeper comes back. He says, I would faint if this happened. The original was my first game I ever played, and this would make me buy 10,000 copies like that one dude who bought all the Rosalina amiibos.
10,000
Hey,
copies.
if you have that much money, though, because
why don't you just go buy that IP? I think it's probably cost you less than 10,000 copies.
Better yet, give us the money so we can make the next Claw game.
Exactly.
Buy it out from under.
He also talks about Borderlands 3, and I was going to ask you guys, like, is Borderlands another franchise that's like of the past, like just kind of
that one? I really don't care about.
It's so weird. I loved Borderlands 1. Like I put, I don't know, maybe 40 hours into that game, maybe even more than that. Like I really played. No, I know, but it's a lot for like that type of game. Like it's not a lot even for that type of game.
It's a lot for you and
whatever.
Your gaming habits.
Yeah. It's a lot for me to invest in a game that I never like record at all or anything like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So
gotcha.
I played it quite a bit. Then Borderlands 2 came out, and I almost feel like I kind of like forced myself to like it, where I was like, this is awesome. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, I'm really not enjoying this for some reason. Then the newest one, whatever it was called, the pre-sequel, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I tried that at, I played the demo and stuff at PAX, and I was like, this is more of the same. But I still get why people enjoy it. So it's like, I'm not saying it's a bad game.
Sure.
It's 100% enjoyable. I think that the Telltale stuff is actually very good for the Borderlands franchise because I feel like it's kind of bringing more narrative to the world. So I think a lot of the characters have become more interesting. But I also feel like, again, to me, it's not a franchise that I'm like, yeah, Borderlands 3. If I want a sequel, that's not a franchise that I look to say, oh, I'd like another one of those, please. So to me, I'd rather either get new IP or
Dead Space 4.
Or get like a different game, like something that's a little bit more appealing to me.
Thomas McCoy, who always hits us up with great emails, he is really excited for Scalebound. Says Platinum Games with Bayonetta 2, Wonderful 101. What's the one where you slide on your knees? What's that game called?
Vanquish.
Like they've made really solid and interesting games.
Yeah.
So Scalebound could be like
the Legend of Korra game was a little bit of a dud, unfortunately. But other than that, usually they knock it out of the park.
And the one that he brings up that I think is interesting is he brings up Resident Evil. And
that's coming.
Xbox could do a Resident Evil exclusive as well. Like that's a game that they could
like 7.
Yeah.
Secure.
Yeah, RE7 is probably going to.
It's interesting though. Like you see, we do get then to a position where there is there's like you see, like we get excited about
it's
this
every game now, right?
Yeah, but it's like it's Resident Evil 7.
Yeah.
Like
and it's actually like Resident Evil 15.
And it's one of those things where we have this element now where companies are just going to buy third-party games. Like, because to them, I think it's almost like less risk. It's like diversifying your risk. Like, hey, look, we could make a new IP or a sequel even to Gears, which might cost us like $200 million. Or we could secure the rights.
Expensive.
Or we could secure the rights to like a Tomb Raider or something, right? For a year for $150 million or $100 million. So I think that if this is the case, it's going to be an interesting trend to see unfold because then third party is no longer going to be third party. It's going to be kind of like timed party where, hey, for a year we're exclusive to Xbox, but then we're coming to the PS4, everyone.
Yeah.
And then it also makes it interesting because, like, will those gamers even adapt that game a year later? You know, because when Tomb Raider 2 comes out on, or Rise of the Tomb Raider comes out on PS4, people are probably going to be playing Uncharted 4. Like, I don't know if very many people are going to be incentivized to go get it. So it's going to be interesting. It's an interesting trend for sure. Like, I wonder if it's going to be a favorable thing or not, because at the end of the day, it also kind of... I almost wonder if it kind of puts in danger the IPs of these third parties, you know, because they're taking a risk by limiting themselves to just one console, you know, saying, hey, we're only going to be on Xbox for a whole year.
The money has to be
maybe even longer.
Well, that's the thing. Is it lucrative just for that launch? Because you have to think about it long term too, right? Like, if you're thinking, hey, Tomb Raider 3 or 4...
You don't think Square puts any thought into that?
No, I think they do, of course. But
I don't know if Tomb Raider ever comes to PS4.
Oh, it does. Like, they have worded it to where...
It could.
They've said... No, it's coming. I'm not even... I don't think it'll even be next year. Like, do you remember how Mass Effect...
I guess, but to me that's like almost forever. Like not non-existent at that point. Like, go back
that's
and
what
play
I mean.
Rise of Tomb Raider 3 years old. Like,
yeah, because this is the problem. It's like, and what I'm wondering is, if you're exclusive to Xbox, and that's a much smaller, or not much smaller, but a smaller install base, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas you could be on the PS4, and if the PS4 keeps selling like this, you know, and Xbox is kind of slowly chugging along behind it, I wonder if you're starting to kind of shoot yourself long term in the foot, because you're saying, hey, Tomb Raider is relevant, guys. Please buy it now on your PS4s 2 years or a year later. Yeah. So I almost wonder if it's a bad thing for companies to take this deal. Like, I know short term it's very awesome because it's so lucrative. It's like, hey, we can get $100 million. We develop this thing, release it, and then a year later we get to release it again. And if all things go well, great. But
I think the thing with Tomb Raider,
the game is not well received, it's going to be interesting to see how that kind of stuff like affects your IP long term too. With the viability of it.
Lara Croft, like what I've heard is that game would not have been made because the budget necessary was not something that they had. So in that sense, it's like, yeah, maybe it hurts you long term, but what's better, you know, $50 million profit or zero? You know what I mean? Like,
no, of course. Look, don't get me like I'm saying, I 100% understand why you would do that. I just think that, to me, I'm wondering, how does that impact you 2 years from now? Sure. Where does Tomb Raider stand 2 years from now? And maybe there's an issue there with Tomb Raider to begin with, because the game sells 4 million copies and they sell that, and they say that that's not enough. Like, that's a problem. That means that there's something in the way that you are either expensing or building this game where you should be able to be profitable at that point.
I think it's that they're investing AAA dollars behind a game that's not selling at AAA levels.
But
4 million,
dude,
is
yeah, but not AAA. Like, I'm talking like Borderlands, Assassin's Creed, Call of Duty.
How much is Borderlands?
Borderlands 2, I think, sold well over 10 million.
Are you serious?
I'll look it up as we talk. Thomas wraps up his thoughts, and I wanted to get you guys' take on this. And a couple people wrote this in. Xbox One Slim. Do you think we see it? He says, alongside Halo 5 Guardians, one of the people from Halo 5 already announced that there will be a limited edition console. Do you think we get a slim version?
That's a possibility. Maybe that's how they cut price, too. You know, for the holidays, they would say, hey, we have a slim version, and it's $300, let's say, or $3. Well, yeah, they won't cut it $30.
They're not cutting it like that much more. I think it's not going to go into $350. It can't. Not when Sony's still at $400 and selling better. Like,
well, I think they would do that just to try to draw people in. Like,
or they come in with a new model and say it's $350, but you're getting an enhanced model, so it's effectively a price comp.
Or maybe they'll do like, hey, it's $350, but it comes with a game or 2 games or something like that.
Or just quieter, faster, smoother,
or a Xbox Live for a year and a game, like something to build that value. Whatever it is, I think that if they do another model, it would be to try to draw new people in, like, quickly to try to catch up.
Microsoft, here's what I want. Send me a slimmer Xbox that will stop turning on my TV when I turn on my Xbox. I can't figure out how to disable that. I've looked online and it tells me, hey, do this, and it'll stop turning on your TV. It doesn't. It just loves turning my TV on every time for some reason.
Also, please, Microsoft, fix Netflix on Xbox, because for some reason, for me, it doesn't work. It shuts down my entire Xbox, which is weird. So I watch it only on my PlayStation devices. So get on that, bros.
Borderlands 2 has sold over 12 million as of March this year.
12 million.
Yeah, so
that's crazy. I had no idea.
Jeepers creepers, that's very good.
Let's dedicate a little bit of time here to Halo 5, just because I think that is their.
I don't wanna.
What?
I'm joking. I said I don't wanna.
Okay.
An interesting cover, by the way, for that game, right? Mm-hmm. Like the split cover thing, something different. Finally, it's not just a guy with a gun.
Like, is this game?
It's two guys.
Magical. Like, is this a game that like blows people away?
Magical.
Because it's been in development for a while. It's their first next gen Halo. Halo still, for whatever we think, is very revered.
Yeah, of course.
Are they able, this being 343's real first Halo, are they able to reinvigorate that series? Giggling Gabe over there doesn't think so.
Yeah, what did they do to get that from like that mind share? Like, people say, oh, this is their first real Halo. What have they done to deserve
that?
I think they said
like, why is this their first real one? Why is the failure not considered?
4 was a carryover from Bungie.
I don't understand why it's a failure. That game is not
like
bad.
No, I know. It's not
a bad game.
It did well.
It's better than Gears of War 3, in my opinion.
Sure.
So,
no, and I sound super negative on Halo, and I'm not. It's great.
It is great. You played it?
I think they said.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure
Halo
when
4?
they did interviews with people like from the team there from 343, they said that with that game they were worried to take risk because they said that we want to try new things but still do enough of the old stuff so that people don't hate us. And with this game,
so they get a pass for it. That was their decision. They could
It's the transition from Halo 4 being a Bungie game to 343 was very shaky, and that's where they had to finish that off.
And
now they have
the
full creative freedom to make a new one.
You seem to have some knowledge that I don't. I had no clue that Halo 4 was at one point a Bungie game. Is that a real thing?
I believe so.
I don't know that it was a Bungie game, but I do know for a fact that they did a lot of interviews with them, and they said that they were worried, and I'm guessing Microsoft also pushed them to say, hey, you can't just go and do something completely out of the blue and do whatever you want with the franchise. You have to maintain some of the core mechanics. Whereas this one, I feel, is going to be like the one, okay, we got one under our belts, we did a good job with it, now let's try to dive on in and do something interesting. I didn't play the beta. I heard that was great. People really like that and such, so that's great. That means they nailed the multiplayer, or hopefully will nail it, of course, if it works and everything on launch. But so that's okay. I think story-wise, it's kind of hard to say anything because we've seen so little, and it's all been like such vague stuff, like, you know, with the sand and the
Locke versus Chief, who's the real hero, all that.
So I'm not sure. Like, it's so hard to say anything about the campaign. I hope they do something interesting. Again, I've always said I really want to love it, so I hope they give me a reason to.
I want to read this paragraph. I think it's crucial to our discussion, and I hope that, and I think maybe Halo 5 is like a mega hit that we're not expecting.
I hope so. I hope so too. I don't mean to sound
Gabe,
super
let me read this to you guys. 343 started with a staff of roughly a dozen people, but grew to nearly 200 through the development of Halo 4. Halo 4's development team included former employees of over 25 AAA studios. Prospective employees were not told they would be working on Halo 4 because it was a secret project. We had people who we hired who hated Halo, said Frank O'Connor, 343 Industries franchise development director. So we ended up with a bunch of people who were genuinely passionate, but blah, 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 so on and so forth. Halo 4 executive producer Kiki Wolfkill said that the team was forced to make necessary mistakes with production difficulties.
Wait, her name is Kiki Wolfkill? That's an amazing name.
Forced to make necessary mistakes with production difficulties and a team inexperienced with working together, contributing to many development difficulties. 9 months before ship, the developers restructured the game's production pipeline and gave individual teams more control due to bottlenecks of development. With so many developers from different backgrounds, forging a common goal and company culture was difficult. It just sounds like a disaster, right?
It was tedious. But it was never Bungie's game. That was the only thing I was saying.
I mean Bungie's game in the sense that everyone wanted and expected, and they were, and then Microsoft restructured things, and Bungie was, their own entity. I think, from both Microsoft and for their own selves, I think they felt this responsibility to basically put on the Bungie suits and make Halo 4.
I will say this, they were mimicking, were acting. Okay, what would we be doing if it was Bungie?
Right.
And to be honest, with everything you read, they still made a good game. Mm-hmm. Like, it wasn't
and that's
amazing,
what I was gonna
but
say.
They made a good game. So imagine now that they had one game under their belts, they have this established team. maybe this will be just an absolutely mind-blowing, amazing title. And I hope it is.
And we all hope it is. Like Max has said, we need to like reiterate this sometimes. Like, we love games. Like, I want Halo to be fantastic. The beta, I had tons and tons of fun with it. And Zach, I mean, great that you brought that up. If they made Halo 4 under all that duress and all that like turmoil,
3 full years
I
since
can only,
then, you know.
Yeah. No, like, I'm all for it. Yeah, give us a good.
Two other games I wanted to bring up and just see if you think they have any connection to Microsoft. Do you think that some GTA 5 single-player DLC shows up in a Microsoft conference? Or anything Rockstar, I guess?
Maybe Red. I mean,
Rockstar's not usually at E3 anyway.
But they do have like those, like the Ballad of Gay Tony and that stuff was Microsoft exclusive.
I think there is a chance that they do maybe, like, you know, maybe Microsoft goes after that specifically because they say to themselves, listen, Sony's got Destiny, they got Battlefront, we need to get on this. Sony got Arkham Knight content early as well. True. So they lined up a very stellar profile of third-party exclusives, so to speak. Right, so I think that there is a chance that they go after, but again, I really don't see it being exclusive, like to where we don't get it at all on Sony consoles. I think it's a matter of, hey, we have it for a month early for Xbox One and Xbox 360, and then after that, you'll be able to get it for Sony as well, and then PC probably a year later. Because
I would be really surprised if we got anything GTA related, because they just made that push for PC, and it took them a long time. They had to push it back. Like, they just weren't ready.
Yeah, they're still pushing.
Unless they were like, making this other thing at the same time.
Oh, but dude, they haven't a big enough team to be able to.
No, I know.
Teams, sorry.
It would really surprise me, because also, like Max said, historically, just Rockstar doesn't really do the whole E3 thing. Like, they'll give you a trailer, and that will be the event.
And then the other game I wanted to bring up is the near inevitable announcement of Fallout 4 at Bethesda's conference on Sunday. See,
now you're getting into third-party stuff that I thought we were going to do.
No, hold on. I was just going to say that could be a game where Microsoft comes in and has some sort of deal with Bethesda for like a Fallout 4, maybe not even an exclusive, maybe not even DLC, but like the demo is like, stay tuned till Monday for a bigger demo at Microsoft's conference. That could be one that they go after.
Yeah, that's possible. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely not something out of the realm of possibility. I mean, look, I really think we are going to see Assassin's Creed up there. I think we're going to see Call of Duty most likely. So they're going to have some big hitters there as well, but yeah, sure, they could do something like that. I really would be shocked if they secured some sort of exclusivity with Fallout 4. Like, if they secure anything, it would be probably, again, DLC or skins or a
Master
gun.
Chief bobblehead.
Sure,
Master
something
Chief.
like that.
Fallout 3, all the DLC packs, which are great, by the way. Well, not all great, but, I love
Operation
the way
Anchorage, but pretty much everything else.
Yeah, no, but I love the way they do DLC. All those came to Xbox first.
Sure. So. Yeah, they may do some sort of thing like that, but I would be blown away if they say, hey, Fallout 4 is exclusive.
No,
that would be nuts.
No. That game's coming to PC.
Alpha Tony Bugs wrote in and said that he wanted to know, would a Halo Wars sequel be of any interest to you? Do you think the Halo franchise can expand to more than one game? Is there enough room for another Halo strategy game? And sort of just our thoughts on that.
Spartan Strike came out like a week
ago. I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, me neither.
Like the sequel to Spartan Assault, like that thing came out last week.
The modern day classic, Halo Spartan Assault for your iPad and Xbox One.
Yeah, and that lets you know how I feel about these things.
I don't know. I thought Halo Wars was fun. I remember putting a good amount of time into that. I thought, again,
20 hours
to do an RTS on a console is very challenging. I think so. I think they did it as best as they could. Like, I remember they were very creative with the way that they used the controller to control these teams and everything. So, I think Halo, like, based on some of the responses that we've gotten week after week, because it feels like we've kind of bashed on it sometimes, which I think is incorrect. I think you need to listen to what we're saying. But even if that's the case, like, people who have sent us letters and everything, and I read that ginormous essay that was sent to us.
It's a really well-written essay.
Yeah, it was. And the thing is, it's like, it shows you that there's a ton of depth there. Like, but the problem is all that depth is in books. Mm-hmm. So you have to go to a book. So why not give me an RTS or give me a different style game. Like, do an open world Halo game or something like that, where you can give me a lot of more of that narrative. Like, you can easily take Halo and combine it with Mass Effect-like mechanics, and you'll have a massive success on your hands.
Take the Star Wars route. You know how we're getting Episode 7, then we're getting Rogue One, which is completely different. Different.
Yeah, and that allows them to annualize Halo as well.
Yeah, I mean,
I think a sad part is like almost, and Max, you brought it up, like every game we're talking about is just an extension of an existing franchise. Like the games like the Bulletstorms, the Singularities, the Mirror's Edge, like I hope that there's at least a couple of those in there, like ta-da, something totally we don't know about. Nothing we could have predicted, but because right now it feels like they're just stretching the franchises as far as they can, and this is the third E3 of these consoles, and it's like at a certain point you got to put the kids to bed and make some new babies.
But to be fair, look, we have gotten some new IP. Like, we got Dying Light, Evolve, Order, Bloodborne, so Rise, Knack. I mean, we've gotten new IP. The problem is none of it has been that... Like, we have not gotten like a BioShock.
Sure.
Unless if you compare Bloodborne to that level. I mean, they rate at the same level, but Bloodborne is still similar to Souls games, so it's not like a completely new thing. So we haven't really gotten anything quite that big. Maybe this is the year that we do. So I think it's unfair for us to say that we haven't gotten any new IP, because we have. The problem is some of it has not been received very well, and some of it has been just not very good games. And then... on other occasions, it just doesn't connect with enough of an audience, or
I think Sunset Overdrive, like Microsoft tried to do, like they went out to Insomniac.
Yeah, but that game sold terribly,
I know.
Which is so surprising, because in my opinion, that is the best game the Xbox One has.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, I think it's
the second best game.
Behind what?
Ori.
Okay.
No.
What do you mean?
How can a game with a scope of Ori compare to a game with a
Dude, you don't know the scope of Ori, man. It's scopeless. Ori is big. It really is big. I promise.
Ori's not as big as Sunset Overdrive.
No, it's not.
You can't listen. You can argue like artistic style and gameplay for Ori, but don't you try to argue scope. Like that's a battle that you will not win. But again,
big isn't
like
always
you see,
better.
so the problem is you see, I didn't even bring up Sunset Overdrive, and that shows you that we have gotten new IP, but. To be fair, like if I'm Phil Spencer and I'm the team at Microsoft, right, or if I'm the team at PlayStation, I sit back and I think to myself, we've done new IP, right, and some of it has been critically well received, like Sunset Overdrive and Bloodborne, but it's not selling to the numbers that if we just put another number behind fill in the blank, Uncharted, fill in the blank, Halo, blah, 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 blah. Like you put another number behind that, millions and millions of dollars. So it's kind of understandable as to why they don't really want to take the risk, because the marketplace doesn't really reward that risk.
Yeah, that's sort of the unfortunate thing, because they did put a decent push behind Sunset. It got its own bundle. It came out in September. It was their exclusive. They did like some weird interactive TV stuff with it. They did 2 big DLC
They
packs.
promoted the heck out of that at PAX. Remember, they had the bus driving around the block of PAX, giving out sodas and everything.
Giant
that's expensive stuff.
Guy at E3 talk to people. Like, it's just sad that again, some of the onus falls onto us of like, what are we buying, what are we not buying. I mean, maybe we get Ori on Xbox One, Giant Adventure. He's their new mascot, and he's gonna take on the world in an epic open world quest full of orcs.
Ori sold well, for that scale.
Yeah, for that scale, it definitely sold well. But when people are saying, "Hey, we want a big new AAA IP," and then they kind of give us things that are in that realm, and then it doesn't sell, it's understandable why a publicly traded company would say, guys, you know what? Stick to the sequels.
I think they need a new character to just attach to Xbox. Like, it's fine to have like Sunset create your own character.
Well, they have Master Chief.
Well, I know, but somebody for this gen. Like, I think if you're gonna sell a new IP, it needs to be a strong character. Like,
I wonder if
game.
we're past that. Like, I wonder if we're past the whole idea of. I think,
but all the games that we talked about are like that. Gears, Halo, Tomb Raider.
Not really. Marcus Phoenix is not really. As much as he is the main character, it's an ensemble cast.
But you think Gears, you think Marcus. Gabe, fill us in.
I think
Gears
chainsaw guns. That's what I think when I think Gears, honestly. First thing that comes to my mind. But I think that, honestly, we've gotten past the whole idea of, like, Sony trying to have Sackboy as their mascot.
Well, not mascot, but like a Batman focused game, a Tomb Raider focused game, and a Nathan Drake focused game. Like going in and saying like make your own character and mess around in Sunset. I love that game, but maybe that's not the marketing. That doesn't have the allure to the public if you can say like there's this new hot girl or this new awesome looking guy as the focal character of your game to sell.
As long as they're all white.
Whoa.
Whoa.
No, I mean that's a joke
Whoa,
about the box
but a
covers.
fair whoa, I guess.
Yo, no, like I know, like it sounds like harsh,
Yeah.
right? But, dude, that's what it is. They want a white guy on the cover, and I'm not saying I agree with it, obviously, but you know,
Well, some of them we don't know whether they're white or not because they're wearing armor and stuff. So it's like, what's inside? You never actually know.
Yeah.
Could be an alien.
See, but for BioShock, they said, oh, we got to put, we can't put the Songbird on the cover. We need to put this white guy with the gun, and that's the train of thought.
But again, you see, the thing is, the problem is this. I feel like a lot of times we jump to conclusions and we want to attack the publisher and we want to say, how dare you give us women on covers and we will buy it. And then they do it and nobody buys it. So I feel...
When's the last time we got a woman on the cover?
Probably Ellie, I'm guessing. Have we...
Remember Me?
Yeah, well, she was on there with Joel. There you go. Remember Me. How'd that do?
I think here's
yeah,
the issue.
okay, but the problem with that one is also because that game is just not good. Yeah, but I feel like generally, okay, Tomb Raider sold well, in my opinion. Of course, they think it's bad, but I think that game sold very well for what it was. So I think that, again, there's an element of what the numbers show and what opinions show, because the opinions seem to be that we want all this, but then the numbers, when they're sitting back and they look at the numbers, they really say, okay, it's not worthwhile for us to do this. No. So I think there's an element of like, you can't really win, because no matter what, if they did that, they would get grief, or financially it wouldn't be very viable. I think that, don't get me wrong, I think there's 100% a problem when you go into a store and 9 out of 10 titles that you're looking at have a guy with a gun or like standing backwards with a weapon of some sort, and it's all like different iterations of the same idea. But for some reason they do it. Like, it's obviously selling well.
It's like a societal
for them to
problem
do
that can't be overcome. The vocal people that say, hey, we would like other races on the cover, we would like women on the cover, those people will go buy it, they will go support it. But the general populace, like, that is buying games in the 10, 20, 30 million quantity, they are not the ones vocalizing this on the IGN message boards. They are not the ones
unfortunately
on Twitter. Unfortunately. So I don't think it's that the people that say it aren't supporting it. I think it's that being able to convince,
they're not big enough.
Convince a massive society glob of people is just impossible. And to be blunt, the lowest common denominator is still Call of Duty Madden gamer, and it's hard to convince that. Now, Final Fantasy 13 3 is probably the last game with a female on the cover, just to be really specific. But I would love to see it too. We got an email this week. I will pull it up to see what it's from, talking about he would love to see more African Americans, Hispanic people of different races and ethnicities and backgrounds on the covers of games, or at least being featured, and not in the sense of like, hey, they're this exotic thing to go find and seek out.
Yeah. And the wonderful thing about games that do have like a customizable character is we've seen, like, Saints Row has been really great about being very open, not just to races, but like genders and sexual preference and everything. So I feel like we are taking steps. It's just maybe they're not fast enough or big enough steps that kind of like, advances to the next level of representing equality in gaming. Now, again, it's also not particularly represented in real life, so that's also a problem. But maybe with gaming, we could kind of.
I think the deal though is they're
real
like
life elements too.
Create your own character, sure, but like create a character that embodies this. Like, sure, yeah, okay, like it feels almost like an afterthought. Like, sure, you're gonna make a purple person, go for it. But to have someone,
sure, yeah, I know what you mean.
Kevin,
yeah, like we do need more heroes and heroines that are more representative of society in general, and not just white dude with a gun. Like, even in something like Call of Duty, when we see other races, like we saw Cormac in Advanced Warfare, he's an assisted character. Like, he's there as a support. You don't play as him.
Sure, and it's not like it has to be there or needs to be forced, but you look at something like the Avengers too, all beefy white dudes, right? Or charismatic white dudes in the case of Tony Stark. Kevin Bartlett was the one who wrote in saying, he really would like to see more
Hey,
minorities.
Hulk represents the green people
Exactly.
demographic.
That's a good point. the Green Nation is very pleased. Do you think we get Metal Gear Solid 5, Rock Band, Guitar Hero, something like that on Microsoft stage?
We'll get like Rock Band.
Do you guys have any hype for those games?
No, man, I don't care.
I don't think we're even gonna get Rock Band.
Are those games beyond E3 stage? Are they like lowered down a few levels?
I hope they are, because
be
if they're on stage, I think that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a bad sign in terms of the fact that they don't have something more important to show us, you know? So I hope that we don't see them, because I hope that time is so important to them to where they just cram that whole show with just game after game and things that are eventful. The one thing I will say, I hope that we get announcements of things that are coming out this year.
Yes.
Like, that's something that I really, really would like to see, because it feels like it's almost become a rare thing where we see, hey, here's a game announcement, and guess what? You can play it within the next 6 months. So that would be really nice to see. Instead of, hey, here's a pre-visualization demo that we just sketched up 25 minutes before we started this.
Right, we're going to show some people pencil sketching the next...
Yeah.
Here's
that was EA last year.
Here's a drawing that one of our developers...
Yes.
All right, guys, revolutionary. One of our developers' daughters just drew this. This is going to be in the
Almost
game.
Daily had a great idea for a game. He said, what I'd really like to see is Microsoft announced, can't stop playing the video game.
Ooh.
He literally gave us a full pitch, a sales
breakdown?
pitch here.
Wow.
On what this would be, and I just thought that was...
Any highlights?
I mean,
Who's the
basically, in this game, the world has been overrun by the evil condiment monsters, and you have to lead Gabe out of the war-torn city. You can play as Max, Gabe, or Zach. Also co-op. Gabe has the stun move with some kind of beard hair attack that tangles up foes. Max has the milk bag melee attack. Zach has the range attack with his hot chocolate blaster. By collecting likes, you can power up your super attack. You got to hear these. Here's the super attacks. I'll stop after this, but Max can summon the Hype City train, which plows through foes and progresses you through the level for 5 to 10 seconds.
Cool.
That's a summon.
Zach can summon his Ghost Rider army to attack and carry the monsters away. Gabe will say, no more condiments, and turn into a Super Saiyan.
And then what? Is it like a permanent power-up?
So it says Gabe goes supernova and takes out all foes on the screen.
Oh, wow. I'm picturing myself like having like milk bags, like a spinning attack with milk bags, where I'm like like that, like nunchucks.
There's
That'd be cool.
The head boss is General Mustard or Colonel Ketchup, and they both run things here.
Somebody make this on iOS.
Yeah, and then it says when you run out of subscribers or any powers, Gabe's condiment barfometer hits gonna puke and it's game over.
Game over. But is there microtransactions?
I don't know. Probably.
To power up, you have to wait 7 minutes, or you could give us $50. That's what it would be if it was an iOS game.
Coming soon to iOS and Android.
Yeah, I thought that was a creative idea, though. Thank you, Almost Daily, for writing that in. Any closing thoughts from you guys on Microsoft? Are we predicting them? Like, if you had to guess, does Microsoft fall number 1, number 2, or number 3 out of the platform holders' press conferences? Gabe says 2.
It's subjective, like in terms of because it depends for whom, right? Are we like saying like general consensus?
Yeah,
what
consensus,
is going to be the general
consensus?
Like consensus.
Reviews.
Okay.
I say 2.
Yeah, I really think that they have the best. Like, this is the best chance that they have to be number 1 because I think that they have so much stuff that. Look, the fact that we don't know what Sony has is not a great thing, because it could be that they just come out and they're like, we have indie, guys, and wait for 2016.
I think it's the opposite.
But that's what I feel like. It's not possible that would be the case. So that's why I think Sony still is going to blow us away with some surprises. So I'm going to go with number 2 as well. Long-winded answer. But I really think, I really truly do think that Microsoft has a chance, the best chance they've had in the last few years to just knock it out of the park.
I think they have the most games coming out and maybe the best games, but I think the issue is we just know about them all, and that really sucks. Like, people want E3, they want the spectacle, they want the surprise, and if we know about it all already, I think public perception is to be like they didn't do as well because we already knew all this was coming.
I think they come in at number 1. I don't see any chance that. I just their game lineup, whether it's known or unknown, will be unbeatable. I can pretty much promise that, and I don't see any. I guess I always hope like, oh, Sony or Nintendo are gonna really come through and announce 20 games.
Nintendo won't. Nintendo won't.
I just don't see it happening. So I think Microsoft comes in, wins E3. Whether that matters in the grand scheme of things, I don't know. But I definitely think that I think they are going to be sort of a slow growing thing where Sony eventually caught up to the Xbox 360 by the time it was over. And I wouldn't doubt if maybe this is the reverse of that, where Microsoft slowly catches up to Sony, and by the end of the life cycle, they're roughly 45, 55 in that range, because it's not like the Xbox One is so.
Wait,
inferior.
what about the Wii U?
What is
45, 55?
1%, less than 1%? Does it make a blip?
Hey, the Wii U is for the 1%ers. That's the pitch.
It's for you people.
If you got $1 billion, buy this Wii.
Jeez. All right, that is Microsoft. We hope that you have been thoroughly informed on what is happening or may happen. It'll be interesting to get there.
Watch us fail everything.
Yeah,
Watch us
that's what I'm saying.
they
we're just
open
totally wrong.
with Halo, and then it's just new game after new game, like new IP. They're like, you know what? We're gonna announce Gears of War. Forget about that.
Yeah.
Here's a new IP.
Yeah, Gears of War is now on mobile. Suck it up, you silly lovers.
Gears of Peace. That's what we're gonna get, where everything's prosperous. You're farming. It's a farming simulator, where you play as Marcus taking on the reins of his
Marcus is like in a farmer's attire. He's got like a farmer's hat.
Yeah.
Microsoft has bought the Wii U lineup for 2016. Since it's non-existent over there, it now has come to Microsoft for $1 billion.
What's the crazy announcement? What's the announcement that realistic but crazy?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like not something like, hey, Phil Spencer comes out. He's like, hey, everybody, we bought Nintendo. You know, like not that
Nobody
crazy.
Mentioned Titanfall at all. Titanfall might be.
What is like
Titanfall 2? We didn't even think about that.
Yeah. What do you think is the announcement that is like, ooh, that was unexpected and like really would get you hyped?
Would Viva Pinata be that?
I think we're all going to name probably sequels if we did name anything, because the problem is that's what gets you hyped. So we're kind of a part of the problem.
I would say one of two.
Okay.
I'll go with either Left 4 Dead 3, and it's out this year, Xbox One exclusive.
Okay.
That would blow my mind.
It wouldn't blow my mind, but I would be very hyped. Or
Evolve 2, they bought the sequel.
It's out this year.
Can you imagine? No, it's out next year,
okay.
but they bought the rights.
I would be the only one dancing. You'd have just I'd get on national TV because they just filmed me dancing.
They filmed the conference hall,
right.
and it's just everybody's just like on their phones, and Zach's like, guys, Evolve!
So it's either that or they come out with a Mass Effect 4 demo and have a timed exclusive for that. That's kind of like, we know Mass Effect 4 is coming, but I feel like that is a juggernaut of a game that would.
That's the one I was going to say.
Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah. Mass Effect 4. Because I feel like since they did do that with the first one, right? I think that there is a chance that they reach out to EA, especially because EA did the deal for Battlefront with Sony.
Sure.
Maybe they reach out for this and say, hey guys, we
their
did
last
really
exclusive partnership with EA didn't go so well, though.
What was that?
Titanfall.
Yeah, I mean,
kind of. Well,
yeah, it wasn't a great success. But I think that
do you know
that's the one game
it?
that either that or the other one that I think is genuinely realistic for them to secure as an exclusive is Mirror's Edge. I think that they can secure that as an exclusive title for the Xbox One, which would once again be EA, but. Yeah, I think that's a possibility, too, for them to go out and say, hey, we're going to fund Mirror's Edge, and it's going to be an exclusive.
Yeah, one of those EA properties. EA seems to like to sell off their children to go work for other evil father lords.
Kojima
is bought by Microsoft. He works for
they just
Xbox.
buy him.
Just the human being.
Slavery.
And they will microtransaction out his services. So if you want Kojima to write you a love letter, you want Kojima to, come over for breakfast.
What if they buy Konami? And they do Silent Hill.
With that? They get Metal Gear and
Silent Hill.
Well, no, PT. Konami's not for sale because they've made it a point that they don't want to make games anymore. They're doing other stuff. They're still a huge company. It's just not in video games. Yeah, we're not Japanese, man.
All right, I have to ask you guys a question because the train can leave or we can get on. Do we want to get on the Hype City train?
Yeah, let me just.
I just want to. I'm basically summoning the train for Gabe.
Okay, summon the train.
Wolfenstein: The Old Blood comes out next week, and I love this new Wolfenstein that they're doing here. See, the names mess me up. The New Order, love that game. The Old Blood looks very, very cool. And
so this is the $20 expansion, by the way, just to clarify. It's not like a full-on like huge release, but it is a separate game. So like you can play this without.
It's not out. It's not out physically in America. Here, it's only downloadable. Xbox One, PS4, and PC. It's not coming to the other stuff. In other countries, there's a box release for some reason, which I find weird. We're not getting that.
Weird.
But yeah, I'm super excited to play it. It comes out on the 5th, right? Yes, on the 5th, which is Tuesday. And I think that's going to be a good time. I love that game. So
Cinco de Mayo. Play your old blood. Yeah. Max, are you getting on the train or are you staying home?
I honestly, I think I'm going to ride the train. I'm not getting off anywhere.
All right.
I'm just going to ride the train just to have fun with you guys. But I really think, like, I don't want to mention the same things again. I almost feel like I'm going to rehash the points I've made. We're in a kind of weird period right now where, like, we're waiting for Witcher, Splatoon. Those are kind of the next two big titles that are coming. And then after that, of course, Batman. So I don't want to just rehash those ones. I mean, I think we've named them for enough consecutive wicks.
And just to bring this up, because we've brought it up every week for the past couple of weeks. Age of Ultron. Sad
you guys
to
have already seen it. Your life is complete. There's no more, you've no purpose left.
All right, whatever. Forgot about that.
It's over.
Technically, we've seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, man, my hype for that has dwindled slowly, and it's...
Zach is going to love it, everybody. But what you have to look forward to is a bonus episode on Age of Ultron, which we'll be putting together.
Yeah, that's
we hope you guys check that out as well. And
new Spider-Man announced today?
On iTunes.
Heavily rumored?
I don't think he's announced.
That
I think they're saying that this is the kid that is most likely to be Spider-Man.
I am not afraid of him in any way. I don't think he could save my dog.
He doesn't need to be scary.
I don't think you're supposed
Spider-Man
to be afraid
is not
of Spider-Man.
scary.
I picture him like going home and like making peanut butter and jelly with grandma.
That's good. That's perfect.
That's Spider-Man.
That's Peter Parker.
Dude,
it's not Spider-Man. Spider-Man is going to be witty. He's going to crack jokes when he's... That's the thing.
Yeah. I don't think you understand what
Apparently
Spider-Man
not.
is.
What is Spider-Man? He's not a cool guy that saves people and fights villains?
What is Spider-Man?
No, he is. He's the opposite of
Spider-Man. Spider-Man?
He is the opposite of cool.
Yeah. I mean, no, sorry. No, he's not. Spider-Man is cool. Yeah. Peter Parker is not cool.
Peter Parker is the opposite of cool.
So that's a key clarification, because the idea is that as Peter Parker, he is supposed to be this nerdy kid that he gets picked on and has not a particularly happy life, but when he puts on the mask, he can become this other thing. He can, like, to a certain extent, not have to deal with the typical problems that he faces, and he can be a greater thing than what he is.
So could this be Marvel going towards a PG, like, younger audience sector?
It won't be PG, but it's way more family friendly. I don't think that
I
Marvel
think this
has
is going to be PG. I don't see any reason for them to make this like. I guess maybe for like violence, but then again, nowadays PG, you can, like, Arrow is PG and it has people getting hit with arrows. So I think that they can pull off a Spider-Man movie with that rating.
Well, I mean, assuming it's what we think what I think it. Like, I don't know why I have this inkling that it might be Kraven, and like Kraven is a dark character, sort of.
I really hope it's not Kraven. I want Mysterio. That would be so much fun.
I don't know who either of these guys are.
Mysterio is a magician.
How do you not know who Kraven
Mysterio
the Hunter
is? Really cool.
Kraven the Hunter? I'm looking him up right now. Is he a vulture?
No,
Vulture.
He's a guy that hunts things.
The vulture,
like a cheetah pant. Oh my god.
He's like a
this guy
champion hunter.
Yeah.
No,
there's a very good storyline with Kraven called The Last Hunt.
Okay.
It's actually pretty well done.
We gotta have Mysterio. That bubble.
Mysterio is awesome. Exactly,
that
dude.
Bubble.
Imagine how ridiculous he would be. You could do so much cool stuff with him with his special effects. Because he's this like actor that like he could pretend to be Spider-Man. Like you could do all kinds of things where it's like, hey, is this Spider-Man right now or is this Mysterio? And you could do all the kinds of really cool scenes where like maybe Spidey's like robbing a bank and you're like, what the heck is going on? And then all of a sudden you twist it on its head. So I think he would be a perfect PG and fun supervillain. So I'd love to see Mysterio.
Well, it's because I think Kraven sort of fits into the MCU a little bit more than Mysterio.
All the bad guys have been so flat. Kraven would be like the most complicated thing to happen.
Yeah, and he'd be the best.
Does Mysterio have a real head underneath this bubble?
Yeah. He's he's just a master of illusions. So he's able to just like, and that's another thing. Like if he discovers things about Spider-Man, he could do a whole bunch of cool stuff with like illusions. Like pretend to be Aunt May, or like you could do a lot of cool stuff. So I don't know. I think it'd be fun.
My hype city, it sort of feels like I just want it to be fall because I feel like all the games that have been hyped for the summer, like Batman.
E3 can be your hype.
Well, my hype city is actually going to be Halo 5 because I'm not normally that into it, but I really, the more we talk about it, I really believe that maybe this one will be something a little bit more.
Something a little bit more, period.
Yeah,
that's where the
sentence is. Yeah, or
yeah.
just larger scale Halo that is impressive in the ways that it takes that property and expands it. And maybe a way that we haven't thought about. So that is that. We need your Sony predictions. We'll be crafting our own in the next coming weeks. So send those in. Can't stop asking at gmail.com. What do you think Sony is brewing up for their big show on Monday, June 15th? I'm hoping it's more than just Batman and
it has to.
It's going to be more
Destiny,
than that.
Comet,
They got it.
whatever. But
Sony has this in the bag. They're going to be number one.
Gabe's blue wall is really revealing of where his allegiance lies here.
Yeah, no, I'm not even really like that much into Sony. I'm sort of joking, but yeah, don't forget to send in those predictions. Hopefully next week. We didn't do it this week, but like we can be more structured with our predictions. Like maybe each of us can have like 5 or something, so that we're not all over.
I like the show rundown. We'll see. We'll see. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll see. We might do maybe on like our last week. Maybe we'll do like something where we make like 3 predictions, and then we'll like kind of add like a game mechanic to like whoever wins, we score points or something. That'll be fun.
We'll have a prize.
But for now, I think we're kind of doing more of a rundown because we're still far out enough from the show to where, as you heard, there's a lot to talk about. That's why some of the show is a little bit differently structured this week, but I think it was really nice to see so many people send in so much cool stuff to talk about. So, keep doing that because it makes it way easier for us to engage in more actually like interesting conversation. So, looking forward to next week for sure.
Keep those reviews coming on iTunes. If you're listening on iTunes, check us out on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, check us out on iTunes. We did now officially push ourselves, the podcast at least, on every platform. So we are on SoundCloud. We are on Stitcher. We are available for the direct RSS download. However you want to listen to it, you pretty much can now. So that has been something people have asked for, and now you've got it. Follow Gabe at twitter.com/volatilegabe. Max at almost said Blacks. Follow Blacks at twitter.com/blitzwinger.
I was going to say, are we going to get a Morse code version of the podcast?
Boop, 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 boop. Yeah. I want it read by, what's her name? Danielle Rousseau from Lost, where she's just like in French calling out the podcast from the tower. I don't know if that reference rings for anybody, but anyways, twitter.com/GhostShow for me and all my insanity. And we will be back next week. Bonus episode for Age of Ultron for you to look forward to midweek.
Saturday?
Sometime soon.
Sometime soon. Within the next year, guys.
Within the next year. By the time that Uncharted 4 comes out, you will have your Age of Ultron podcast. Guaranteed. we promise. We don't leave anything on the table. 100%. Making promises and making our path towards E3. We'll see you for Sony next week. Until that time, guys and girls, thanks so much for watching. Thanks for participating. Thank you for listening. And we will see you all later.
Peace.
Bye-bye.